Help! I'm stuck on the Pathways Level 4 elective, specifically the blog, by Beverly Williams, Distinguished Toastmaster. I used to tell my children that everyone has 10 stories they tell over and over. The actual stories that are included in the 10 might change every once in a while, but we pretty much tell the same stories over and over. But how does this relate to, are you stuck on the Pathways Level 4 elective, specifically the blog? I have been stuck on Level 4 many times and might be again. All of the electives on Level 4 are challenging. There are 11 paths, and in Level 4, all of the paths require you to choose one elective from 7 or 8 electives. 3 of these are always create a podcast, build a social media presence, and write a compelling blog. The other 3 common to each path are manage online meetings, conduct a Q&A session, and manage a difficult audience. For me, managing online meetings, conducting a Q&A session, and managing a difficult audience came easily. I completed each of them for my first 3 paths. Now I was on my 4th path. It seemed unchallenging to keep repeating the 3 that came more easily to me. I decided to tackle writing a compelling blog. How hard could it be? Very. Took me a year just to figure out what to say. Most of you can relate, but the writers and bloggers out there, you know who you are. You're mystified. I hope you normal people like me know some writers or bloggers because they could be your mentors. I wished I had gotten a mentor for this project. It would have saved me a lot of effort to have someone else comment on what they hear me say every week. My inner imposter, ever vocal inner imposter says, what do I have to say that others want to hear? As you may know, I do talk a lot. The problem is I talk on a variety of topics. I'm not very focused. Fortunately, the Pathways website gives some instructions. They recommend I keep track of my stories in a document. You can use any document, but you can also use the Toastmaster document, the Storyteller. It's actually the story collection found under the Paths and Learning tab within Pathways. Therefore, I listened to myself for a year and kept a list of my stories. Since they were my stories, I didn't have to write them out fully. I just wrote enough so I would remember them. An important side note is that it is a good idea for any Toastmaster, no matter what Pathways level, to maintain the collection of stories you tell, since adding stories to any of your speeches makes them more relatable and engaging. After all, as life coach Laura Holloway says, storytelling offers the opportunity to talk with your audience, not at them. After listening to my own stories for a year, I realized many focused on parenting. Our children were very challenging. And since people relate more to your failures than they do to your successes, it seemed like it might be a good direction. I decided to write a blog on parenting. Because all of my parenting decisions were born out of desperation, I titled my blog The Desperate Mama. I had one non-Toastmaster and one Toastmaster evaluate my blog. The non-Toastmaster said that my stories were relatable because they were vulnerable and humorous, and that the blog site was user-friendly and inviting. Yay! A Toastmaster said my blog covers a wide breadth, everything from grief and heartbreak to the funny and sweet, to the frustrating and despairing. And she said that my approaches in response to all of it gave the reader permission, not in a condescending way, to have their own experiences and ways of responding as a parent. Finally, she said, your blog is more grounded and real and not of a superficial nature. All of this makes me feel like I'm on the right track and I chose my subject correctly. How does this help you get unstuck as you approach level 4 and the electives of your path? 2 ways. First and always, no matter what path, no matter what level, get a mentor to help you. I didn't have a mentor, and a mentor might have saved me a lot of effort by giving me timely observations. Second, keep track of your 10 stories. Write them down in a saved document or use the Toastmaster document. If you decide to blog, collect your 10 stories and write those. Or you could write about your Toastmaster experiences in this club. Remember that your stories could change countless lives. As the 1973 founder of the National Storytelling Festival, Jimmy Neal Smith, says, we are all storytellers. We live in a network of stories. There isn't a stronger connection between people than storytelling. Thank you, and many blessings on your Level 4 elective.